Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to the Country Music Time Machine. This is the Time Machine Captain Kevin, and today we're going to rehash some of the most shocking moments in country music history. Some of these moments you probably have never heard of, but hopefully by the end of the episode, you'll know a little more about some of the most shocking moments in history. Or at least you will learn who Spade Cooley is and why he is at least probably the most evil country music singer of all time. Stand by for that. As you all know, I am not a TV preacher. I don't ask for money. I just ask for you to love the history of country music. So please subscribe to this channel. It'll help us out so much. It does help pay for all the equipment we use to make these videos. Doesn't cost you a thing, just your subscription, and you can be a member of the Country Music Time Machine crew. Some of the most shocking moments in country music history, as well in the history of any type of music, is when the biggest stars and legends die suddenly. Now, that's some real heavy stuff. We start out this episode with the person most folks consider to be the father of country music, Jimmie Rodgers. For you Beyonce and Shaboozey fans out there, I know where you are. I'm looking for you. Let me explain first who Jimmie Rodgers is. Jimmie Rodgers is considered to be the father of country music because he is among the first and biggest stars in country music history. Jimmie Rodgers was born in the South and was a railroad worker in the early 1900s, but loved music more than the railroad. In 1924, he was diagnosed with tuberculosis, and that caused him to focus more on his music than on the railroad. In 1927, Rodgers was among the first group of people to record country music on disc. He sold lots of records and became the music superstar of his time, but through the years, his health worsened. Rodgers is the father of country music because, according to the Country Music Hall of Fame, he brought the emerging genre of hillbilly music, that's what it was called back then, a distinctive, colorful personality and a rousing vocal style that created and defined the role of the singing star in country music. He laid the foundation for the future country stars. Rodgers was inducted into the first class of the Country Music Hall of Fame, and he was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986. Sadly, Jimmie Rodgers was only 35 years old when he died due to complications of tuberculosis. So the first real country star died way too young. Next up on some of the most shocking moments in country music history also deals with the death of a country icon, another one that died way too young. Hank Williams is, without a doubt, one of the most significant and influential American singers and songwriters of the 20th century. He was only in the spotlight from the late 40s to the early 50s. In his short life, he had 55 singles that hit the country charts. 12 made it to number one, but his influence on all music of the time was groundbreaking. Musical artists of all genres were copying Hank Williams, and to this day, they still do. But Hank Williams was sometimes an outrageous and shocking person. Williams was born in Alabama and found out early in life that he suffered from a birth defect of the spinal column that caused him lifelong pain, and it became a major factor in his later alcohol and drug abuse. He did not have to serve in World War II due to this medical condition, but all his band members were drafted. He found other musicians, but they did not stay with him long because Hank was always drunk and causing problems. But old Hank loved his music, and in 1946 auditioned for the Grand Ole Opry, but was rejected. Hank did not give up. The right people finally heard his music, and the rest is history. He finally did appear on the Grand Ole Opry in 1949 and had 6 encores. Also in 1949, he joined the Grand Ole Opry's first European tour, performing on military bases in Germany and Austria. The peak of the career of Hank Williams was in 1951, But it was also in 1951 that he was admitted to a Louisiana hospital to get treated for his alcohol and back problems. Later in 51, he got hurt while hunting in Tennessee and started taking lots of painkillers. His life was spiraling out of control. In August of 52, he was kicked out of the Grand Ole Opry due to his alcohol, drug, and health issues. Well, that brings us to the night of December 30th, 1952. The 29-year-old Hank Williams tossed and turned in his bed at home in Montgomery, Alabama. His new wife, Billie Jean, he and Audrey were divorced then. Well, Billie Jean asked what was the matter. She claimed his reply was this: "I think I see God coming down the road." Just 2 days later, Hank Williams died somewhere down that road, somewhere near Oak Hill, West Virginia, on January 1st, 1953, after the driver of his car found him dead in the back seat. The official cause of death was listed as a heart attack, but there have always been conspiracy stories about how he really died. There were signs of abuse on Hank Williams' body from an earlier fight or possibly something else. We will probably never know. Hank Williams' final single, released in November of 1952 while he was still alive, was titled, "I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive." The most shocking moments in country music history continue to be tragedies. And when a country star dies from a plane crash, it makes big news. On March 5th, 1963, Patsy Cline, considered by musical historians to be one of the greatest voices of all time, died in a plane crash near Camden, Tennessee. Also on board that plane were Cowboy Copas and Hawkshaw Hawkins. Then 1 year later, country great Jim Reeves died in a plane crash just outside of Nashville. His plane went down, he was flying in, on July 31st, 1964. Mel Street, a country music artist born in 1933, left a lasting mark on the genre despite his tragically short life. His songwriting talent was evident early on with his self-penned debut single, Borrowed Angel, released in 1972. Well, that same year, he achieved his greatest success with his hit song, Lovin' on the Backstreets. Street made his final television appearance in 1977, performing his 1976 hit, I Met a Friend of Yours Today, on That Good Old Nashville Music Show. Though successful in his career, Street privately battled clinical depression and alcoholism. On October 21st, 1978, on his 45th birthday, and the release date of the song, Just Hangin' On, he tragically took his own life. Despite a tragically short career, Keith Whitley made a significant impact on country music. He released only 2 albums, but achieved notable success, including his first top 20 hit, Miami, Miami. He also had hits with I'm No Stranger to the Rain, When You Say Nothing at All, and Don't Close Your Eyes. Great song. Whitley was married to fellow country star Lori Morgan. In 1989, Keith Whitley's life was tragically cut short at the age of 34. The official cause of death was acute alcohol poisoning. Now, Ricky Nelson may not generally be known as a country star, but he had a few top 10 country hits. Ricky was only 45 years old when the plane he was in crashed near DeKalb, Texas, on New Year's Eve in 1985. Let's head forward in time just a little bit. Reba McEntire's band were all lost when their plane crashed on March 16th, 1991, near San Diego, California. She dedicated her 16th album, For My Broken Heart, to their memory. Now, here's another shocking one, and this one you can partially blame on the direction of country music. On December 9th, 1996, feeling abandoned by the country music industry and experiencing despondency over his deteriorating health, the incredible Farron Young took his own life in Nashville. He was later cremated and his ashes were spread by his family over Old Hickory Lake near the home of Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash. Later in the decade of the 90s, the 1975 Country Music Entertainer of the Year, John Denver, died in a plane crash on October 12, 1997, when the plane he was piloting crashed into Monterey Bay near Pacific Grove, California. You know, not all shocking moments in country music involve death, but they're still shocking. While we still remember that drunk Kanye West barging on stage when Taylor Swift won an MTV award in 2009, saying Beyoncé was the best, not Taylor. And decades later, Beyoncé is the new queen of country music. I'll let y'all fight about that one. Maybe the most scandalous onstage incident happened in 1975 when Charlie Rich, a little drunk and upset that John Denver was being crowned the Entertainer of the Year. Let's fast forward to the CMA Awards of 2016. While Beyoncé was on that stage, not singing country music, country legend Alan Jackson decided to walk out. Some folks accused him of being racist, but Alan says that was just him making a statement against a perceived lack of respect for traditional country music. Yep, politics in country music can be shocking. We know of two groups that have changed their name and shocked some folks due to politics. The band formerly known as Dixie Chicks, who was on stage there with Beyoncé in 2016. In June of 2020, they dropped the name Dixie from their name as they said that word had connotations of slavery in the United States. They are now known simply as the Chicks. Also in 2020, due to the racial craziness of the time, the band formerly known as Lady Antebellum changed their name to Lady A. They said they wanted to distance themselves from the associations with slavery and the antebellum South. Many folks consider the word Dixie or antebellum not to be racist. It is just two words that explain a region and an architectural style of the period. And even the style of some front porches out there. For some country stars, going to jail is shocking and almost a requirement, I guess, if you're an outlaw country star. Country singers have always had issues with the law. I guess when you get money, fame, and power and get addicted to those harmful substances, you often get the attention of the law. The most shocking arrests in country music include Johnny Cash, arrested 7 times on various charges, Willie Nelson, mainly drug-related offenses with some IRS stuff mixed in. Merle Haggard was supposedly arrested 17 times on various charges, but he said he also escaped 17 times. Johnny Paycheck shot a man in the head. The guy lived, and Paycheck was later pardoned after he spent some time in prison. Remember when Waylon Jennings was busted while recording in the studio? In 1977, the DEA raided the studio in the middle of the recording session after getting a tip about a package of cocaine that had been mailed to Jennings. Jennings and his drummer managed to hide or at least dispose of the original package and all of the other drugs on the premises, but Jennings faced arrest anyway. The charges were later dropped. Here's a shocking one for you. In 2013, Billy Currington was charged with making terroristic threats and abuse of an elderly person. Even the new country stars have issues with the law. According to Jelly Roll, he has been arrested at least 40 times on drug possession, drug dealing, and shoplifting, and also aggravated robbery charges. I don't think he escaped as many times as old Merle Haggard did. And even the current country superstar, Morgan Wallen, was arrested in 2024 and charged with reckless endangerment after throwing a chair from the roof of a Nashville bar and nearly hitting some police officers. And finally, let's round out the most shocking story from country music history. It's the most shocking story as far as I'm concerned. and it comes from a man few have heard of. That's probably because the world of country music has tried to forget this man existed. This evil man's name was Spade Cooley, and he was a major star in the 1940s and 50s. His first single, strangely enough called Shame on You, spent 9 weeks at number one, and he had more hits after that one. At the time, he labeled himself the king of Western swing. But by the late 1950s, he was not a big star, and he fell into that familiar trap of too much booze and drugs. In 1961, his wife told him that she wanted a divorce. Spade's answer to that was to kill his wife and make their 14-year-old daughter watch. He did go to jail, but then it even gets stranger. After showing remorse, he became eligible for parole after just 7 years behind bars, and parole was granted. But fate had another plan for country star Spade Cooley. He never got his freedom. Cooley was scheduled for parole on February 22nd, 1970, but was granted a temporary furlough to perform at a charity concert on November 23rd, 1969. He suffered a massive heart attack and died backstage at that event. So, if anyone ever asks you the most shocking moment in country music history, just tell them the story of the evil Spade Cooley. Well, that's it for some of the most shocking moments in country music history. What do you think? Please, as you always do, pop your comments down below with what you consider to be the most shocking moment in country music history. I read them all, so please entertain me.